Hey guys, Camper 15, back with my Uncle Darrell, and we are finally talking NFL playoff football after a pretty good wild card weekend. Um, and look, I just can't wait for next week, and it's going to be absolutely interesting to see where those games go. But let's talk about wild card weekend. Last week, a lot of eventful games, a lot of eventful games. Starting on Saturday, it was Seattle versus the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco, they ended up winning this game. Now, I would say for like a half and a little bit of the third quarter, the game was actually pretty competitive. Seattle was actually taking it to San Francisco. And I was like, okay, maybe Seattle or San Francisco, maybe they're a little, messing around with their food and everything. And I'm like, at some point, Seattle, they were taking commanding lead of this game. And I was like, okay, Seattle, they're not backing down. They're running the ball effectively. Geno Smith is actually targeting DJ Metcalf, and Metcalf is actually putting in some work. And then they're making the San Francisco offense look pretty bad outside of a few plays and everything. But then second half comes, adjustments make, and then San Francisco just lights up Seattle with utter ease. And then by the time, like, some point in the third quarter, I just turned this TV off. I turned the TV off. I'm like, all right, this game's over.
Yeah, me too. The first half, Seattle didn't have any penalties. They were playing mistake-free football. San Francisco couldn't get to Geno Smith. San Francisco, I mean, they were basically playing a bunch of trick plays and misdirections and all these different, plays that you see in college, but they came out in the third quarter and they just started running the ball right down Seattle's throat with, Christian McCaffrey. And they just pretty much said, forget all of these trick plays. We just going to play good old fashioned NFL football and then just put them away. That first drive, I believe, of Seattle was when they got their first penalty. The first drive of Seattle is when San Francisco actually sacked Geno Smith. And Geno Smith looked like what we all have seen in the past from Geno Smith, So, but subject for another video, I honestly think Seattle is going to be looking for a quarterback next year. So I can't fathom Geno Smith going through another 17 games with people having film on him. So, Seattle had a great year, had a good half against. Say again.
I said they overachieved, honestly.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I thought 9-8 was pretty good for this football team. So, but 49ers are moving on, as we all knew they would.
Yeah.
But yeah, I turned it off after the, halfway through the third too, because they just scored too easily on their next two drives.
Yeah. Yeah. Seattle, they had an overachieving year. They seem like they got a nice solid running back in Kenneth Walker. Quarterback situation, it's kind of up in the air. The defense is improving. Not only with the acquisitions they got from the Broncos, but the one rookie cornerback, I forgot his name. He's been really good for them. So Seattle,
he went. I think he went to the Pro Bowl. He's going to the Pro Bowl too.
Yeah,
yeah. So no, they got a lot of up and coming young guys on there. Now it wouldn't shock me if they stay with Geno another year, considering he's on a bargain basement price, and use their draft picks and their cap space to build that defense, especially at first round that they've got coming up, which I think is 7th overall.
No,
so it wouldn't shock me.
They have the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft.
I thought it was Seattle has the 3rd.
Yeah, because the trade with the Broncos.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, it wouldn't shock me that if they go defense, I would probably think that, obviously everyone believes the Bears are going to go defense, whether it be Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, if they decide to keep the pick and not trade down. So I can see Seattle as a potential trade partner to come up to probably try to get a guy like Will Anderson. Everyone is raving about him as the so-called.
You really think that they would trade up from number 3?
If they really want Anderson, yes.
I think Anderson or Carter will be there at 3 because you got the Bears.
Anderson or Carter. But again, if Anderson is their guy and they don't know where the Bears are going, and let's just say if the Bears pick Anderson and Anderson's your guy, you're going to be like.
Well, then they would go Carter.
Yeah, but see, Anders a different cat. Anders an edge rusher, whereas Carter can play, inside the tackles and he can play in. So, I mean, they're different. They're two different type players. So we'll see. But they, Seattle had an amazing yes, because no one thought Seattle was going to play like this.
Yeah. You also have to factor in the fact that the Rams had a crazy down year. Now, I would imagine the Rams will be, I guess, a solid football team if they can right the ship from next year with the issues that they have. Which I've actually found pretty funny that Geno Smith, he did say, "I will be back," but I'm like, well, if the Rams are good, and you already know San Francisco is going to be good, the least you guys might be is a third place team, but you can still make the playoffs.
Well, they'd have to make some really good adjustments to their defense.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, Geno didn't have a bad year.
Yeah.
He didn't turn the ball over a lot. I think he completed, 65, 70% of his passes. I want to say the number is 70, which was actually pretty good for him. In this game, DK Metcalf, showed that he can be a number one guy consistently. He just has to show it for, 17 games if he want to be up there with the upper echelon of receivers, like Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and, my man, the Cheetah in Miami. So we'll see. But,
I honestly think Lockett's more their number one. He's always their go-to guy over Metcalf.
Yeah, but again, Lockett actually missed 2 or 3 games this year too, because he's a small receiver. And, at least Metcalf can take the pounding at the receiver position. So we'll see. I honestly think they're going to go defense with that first pick.
Yeah.
And probably all of their other picks moving forward. I just, I can see them keeping Geno Smith for sure.
Yeah.
Will they?
We'll see.
We'll see.
The next game on Saturday was the Jacksonville Jaguars, or the Chargers at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this game was absolutely insane. If you had told me that the Chargers would be up 27-0 at halftime, they had intercepted Trevor Lawrence 4 times
in the first half.
Yep. I would be like, oh, so the Chargers are going to move on. They're going to be playing the Chiefs. Nope. That ain't happen. And pretty much, honestly, I would say the Chargers' collapse downfall started at the end of the second quarter. They had a really bad punt that put Jacksonville in good field position. Jacksonville goes right down the field, scores a touchdown to get some momentum going into halftime. And, we're Bear fans. We always hate when the Bears play an opposing team and they just let them go right down the field before halftime, because that gives the team some momentum going to half, thinking, okay, all right, we at least got a score on the board. Okay, we might be able to come back. And the Chargers, they just made like 2 or 3 field goals in the second half, and the Jacksonville Jaguars made touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence had like probably one of the worst first halves you could have as a quarterback in the playoffs. Heck, in terms of his debut, and in the entire second half, he turns that whole thing around and has probably his best game, in terms of a half of his career. And Jacksonville absolutely just comes all the way back on the Chargers, and they actually stunned the Chargers. They come back from probably, I think they said the largest deficit in playoff.
Yeah, it was 27-0 at the half.
27-7.
I was 27.
They scored a touchdown at the end of the half. They scored a touchdown at the end of the first half.
I could have sworn it was 27-0 at the half. Okay.
No.
I'll go with that. But I will say this. That's not when they got control of the game. They got control of that game when they made it 27-14. And I believe it was a touchdown pass to Jones Jr. In the third quarter. That drive, because I think it was like a 15-16 play drive in which they just moved the chains on the Chargers every which way that you can, via the run, via the pass, jet screens, quick screens out to wide receivers, running backs. They really opened up the playbook on that drive in which they went 27-14. For me, that's when they got control of that game, and that's when the Chargers lost. That game was that game. I mean, Brandon Staley, I got to admit, if they were clamoring for his job before this game, they got every reason to clamor for it even more now, because
it's already confirmed. It's already confirmed he's staying next year.
He's staying next year?
Yeah.
But they got to do some. They got to do something about that depth. It's Mike Williams. From what he either strained something in his back or broke a bone in his back, and he wasn't able to play. Bear basically had nobody to go to.
And that's on Brandon Staley. He played the starters
last week in
this game.
Yeah, you can't do that, especially when you're already locked into a playoff spot. You know, you can't do it. You got to rest your guys. I don't care what the guys say. I mean, you're the coach. You know,
and the more egregious thing about that too is he doesn't play his starters in the preseason.
That's correct. So that would have been more rest for him. You know, you don't get the 2 to 3 to 4 games in the preseason. You play, and then you don't get the 2 games at the end of the season because they clinched at 10-5. So they didn't have to play the last 2 games of the year.
Yeah.
And then Mike Williams winds up hurting his back the very last game. It was unnecessary. So that all falls upon Brandon Staley. And then on top of it, this loss falls upon Brandon Staley as well, too.
Yep. You got to keep your guys composed. You got to,
throwing 4 interceptions is one thing and a half, but giving up 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, and looking at the box score, they only had 3 points.
3 points, and I think those came in the fourth, if I'm correct.
Third quarter. I'm looking at the box score. They had a chance in the fourth quarter, hit a field goal, but the kicker missed the field goal.
Just again, the bottom just fell out. Now, again, this is the way sports can be for you. It's just, it really teaches you how to play. It really does. If you need to know anything about any team, I don't care what the sport is, you put them in a playoff type setting and you will understand exactly what kind of team you have.
Yeah.
And I think what happened to the Chargers. So maybe, they make some changes to show that just doesn't happen again. But that was definitely a heartbreaker loss for the Chargers.
Yeah. I have a Clippers fan in my group chat who's a Chargers fan. I have a coach on my football staff who's also a Chargers fan. They were in pain that night. The Chargers also in that second half, they threw the ball for some odd reason more than they ran the ball in the second half. So it only stopped the clock every incompletion, but it is what it is. They did fire their passing game coordinator and the OC, Joe Lombardi. I forgot who the other guy, the passing game coordinator's dude, his name was, but that's pretty much just a firing way of scapegoating him. And trust we as Bear fans know, with Matt Nagy and his incompetence, he would always fire the OC or the offensive line coach to try to deflect blame.
Correct. When he was calling the plays in the beginning.
Yep.
So, and I know that's another subject, that we've been over time and time again, but that's just exactly what Brandon Staley did this time too. And I'm just like, dude, it's your team. In the end, you can scapegoat as many people as you want. You cannot hide from the fact that under your leadership, you lost a 27-0 lead in the playoffs.
Yep. So I don't know why the Chargers not going to fire him with Sean Payton out there. And I know you're going to have to give up pretty much compensation for him. You would have to think like, well, wouldn't you want to pair Sean Payton up with Justin Herbert, who pretty much is a superstar caliber quarterback? But
then again, that falls upon that compensation too. What does that compensation entail?
I think if you're trying to get probably one of the best offensive play callers,
are you willing to give up a first rounder? Or you
already have your quarterback. You just need to pair him along with the coach.
That's true. But it's been many coaches who been around the league that You gave up a lot for John Gruden,
That's John
and
Gruden.
I know, I'm just saying, but it's happened, so it's, that's pretty risky to give up, future players for a coach when that return may not,
Well, there's gonna be
I
a
don't
team
know,
out there
because
like that though. That's gonna
you'd
do
have
that.
to you'd have to have a guarantee. This has to be a guarantee. I would honestly, I mean, me personally, after what happened with Staley, yeah, I would have fired him on the spot. Forget passing game coordinators, offensive coordinator, as the GM, owner, what have you. I would have had him in my after action meeting. I would be like, I'm just going to end this right here. I'm sorry, Brandon. We're going to have to let you go.
Yeah.
And then go ahead and open up the floodgates to potentially try to hire, a top-notch offensive-minded head coach. I hope you're hearing this, Chicago Bears. You got a great quarterback, and you're going to hire a defensive coach. What good is a defense? What good is a defensive coach giving the strategy, handing it down to the OC and the DC? Well, this is what I want to follow, and you're gonna tell the OC, well, this is what I want Justin to do on Sundays. Come on, man.
So yeah, don't know where the Chargers gonna go. I think their cap space is. I think they're getting to the point where they're in salary cap hell, and then two, they gotta, Justin Herbert. He's gonna be like, all right, where's the money?
That's true, because I don't know the status of his contract, but he's in one of those. He might be
still
in the rookie deal, but I don't know which year is he in.
He's going into his fourth year.
He's going into his fourth year, and basically that's the last year before that fifth year, which it's more like an option year, in which is at a highly inflated price. And then after that year is when you're probably going to expect a Bear to want that $40+ million deal.
He probably will be demanding a contract this offseason.
And maybe he might. I still think the Ravens are going to franchise Lamar. They may do the same thing with a Bear.
I don't think they can't be that stupid.
They're not going to let him go cold turkey.
I know that, but the franchise quarterback, if you franchise tag a quarterback, then you're just already pissing him off more than anything. You might as well just pay him.
Kirk Cousins got franchised by the Vikings 3 years in a row.
That's Kirk Cousins, though.
I'm just saying. I'm just using it as an example.
All right.
I don't think, and then on top of and I know we're getting off into something different. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about the Ravens a little bit later and their game against the Bengals. But, Lamar Jackson, I mean, they already signed, our guy Smith to $100 million. Didn't even think about Jackson. If I'm Jackson, I'm out of there.
Oh, yeah.
But watch, they're going to try to keep him. They're going to try to franchise him. They're going to piss him off. He going to want. But anyway, that's a video for another day.
Yep. The Sunday wildcard games, the next one we got, and actually I forgot to do the updates in terms of predictions. We hit on San Francisco. We were both correct on San Francisco. We were both right on Jacksonville winning the game. It wasn't looking good for us at first, but then Jacksonville turned it around. Also, one more quick thing to Jacksonville. Credit Doug Peterson. That one last play call to pretty much put them in field goal range to win the game. Jeez Louise. Because at that point, before they called the timeout, it looked like Trevor Lawrence was going to switch up to another play, but then he called a timeout and said, no, we're running this. And he practically ran just like, it looked like, honest to God, like one of those tosses Army or Navy would do. And, someone on the Chargers didn't, keep contained. I think they went to Asante Samuel Jr., which I think the broadcast made the mention. And the first time they played in LA, Doug Peterson set it up to where he wanted Asante Samuel to be the tackler to pretty much challenge him. Like, go make this tackle in open space. And Asante Samuel Jr. in the first game couldn't do that. He just did it again to him to clinch the game. So,
and Asante Samuel had what, 3 interceptions that game?
Yeah, he had 3 picks. He was looking like his dad out there.
I mean, it was just, but at the same time, they just go to show you, They adjusted. They probably went back and started doing a lot of the things that they did early in the season when the Jaguars beat them like what, 38-10?
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably just said, you know what? We're gonna scrap everything we did in the first half. Remember what we did when we beat their ass 38-10? We just gonna do that.
Yeah.
And look at what happened. They wound up outscoring them 25-3? Something like that in the second half. 24-3 in the second half. Something like that. So, but at the same time, just like we said, Jacksonville was one of the teams that you and I had indicated that we're going to be really interested in watching this football season, them and Detroit, and they delivered. So, we'll see how it goes next week when they have to go to very cold Arrowhead.
Speaking of one team going to a cold team, the Dolphins played the Bills with the third string quarterback, Skylar Thompson. Now the Bills, I guess you can say, escaped, but it was kind of, some of the issues were kind of on the Dolphins. They had a lot of delay of games penalties, which I've heard that's been a constant thing with the Dolphins all season long. So they got to fix that whole communication issue right there, because that's not a good look if you're getting delay of game penalties.
The problem is that they utilized all three of their quarterbacks throughout the entire season. So the cadence with each one is going to be different. And you have the same offensive line, same running back, same wide receivers, but you got different quarterbacks at different stages of the year. So yes, the cadence are going to be a little bit different that they have to get adjusted to. My problem with this whole game is that you got a third string quarterback who throws 45 passes, completes 15 of them, threw 2 interceptions, and y'all only beat them by 3.
Yep. It's a pretty concerning loss for the Bills. I mean,
Josh Allen was freaking horrible. He got to clean that up. He had 2-3 interceptions. He had 2 fumbles. One of them they lost for a touchdown.
Yep.
And do you honestly think if that was the Bengals would have beat them by 40 with the way Allen played?
Yep.
I say so. They got to clean that up. That was horrible. I don't care how they get to. I don't care how that pass rush is. I don't care how that defense was. You had the third string quarterback in his second game, first playoff game. Am I right?
Yeah.
He was a rookie, right?
Yeah.
And y'all let this dude almost come up in there and beat y'all.
And early in the game, the Dolphins beat themselves. Jalen Waddle, they threw a deep pass to Jalen Waddle. He straight up dropped it. They would have been in the red zone right then.
He dropped like 2 others right after that too.
Tyreek
Hill dropped the pass right in his chest.
Yep.
Right in his chest. I mean, Buffalo was my Super Bowl pick. I'm seriously considering changing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with the Bengals coming in.
Yeah. Nothing really else to say. The Bills just got by. They escaped.
That was an embarrassment. That's not the game you want to have with the AFC's the team that represented the AFC in the Super Bowl last year coming in.
Yep.
And they on 9-game winning streak if you count even though we haven't covered it. Yep. 9-game winning streak if you cover what they did against the Ravens.
Yep. Moving on, next game. The New York Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings. The New York Giants, they ended up winning this game.
Didn't you pick the Vikings?
We both picked the Vikings.
No, I didn't. I picked the Giants. Come on.
No, we both picked the Vikings.
No, if you don't do that to me, I'll pick the Giants. Don't be showing me that chicken scratch. I'm gonna have to go back through the video and watch. I don't trust your chicken scratch.
We picked Minnesota.
I trust. I just
Yeah. No, I
I
didn't
felt the
this game.
Giants would beat them.
Okay.
I felt that the Giants would beat them. I told my coworkers. It looks like I told everybody but you the Giants
No,
are going to win that.
I had a feeling that the Giants could win, but I just said Minnesota's the home team. They should get the job done.
I got to go back and watch our video because I'm pretty sure I was not confident in my pick if I picked Minnesota. I don't believe
you weren't confident, but you still picked Minnesota because they were the home team.
Whatever. I shouldn't have fell for that okie doke. Yeah. I should have known the Giants, but I gotta admit, man. Oh, I love the way
Daniel Jones on himself a contract extension.
Man, I love the way the Giants look. I ain't lying. When we pick the Giants and Eagles, I'm gonna be. Oh man, that's gonna be a tough one, brother.
Yeah. The Minnesota Vikings, like the first drive, they went down the field. They just went down the field with ease. Now I'm at the Clippers game against the Rockets, watching this a little bit. So I'm just.
And I think I texted you a couple times too. Yeah.
I'm just looking up and down from the court, and then looking back at my phone. Next thing you know, I'm looking at the court, and then I look down back at my phone. Next thing you know, New York went down the field and just scored with ease. And I'm like, oh, okay. Next thing you know, after I leave the game, it's like I wasn't paying attention for a while, but then I saw it was 16-13. And then New York just pretty much they just go out on a lead. Daniel Jones making some good runs in this game.
Yep.
And everything. And then, the last critical drive for the Minnesota Vikings. It's like 4th and long. Well, even before that 4th and long, you get a bogus freaking roughing the passer on Dexter Lawrence, which I'm just like, what? Whatever.
Yeah, that was garbage. That was straight up garbage. I don't even know. And you know what? This is the part that, that really bothers me about the officiating when it comes down to playoff time, that if it's not obvious, and take it back, if you just take it back, I get that there may be bettors and law, in Vegas and things of that nature or what have you. You have to have a close game and all this other kind of nonsense. But dude, man, them phantom calls like that, they don't do the game any justice whatsoever. Especially when you can see the Giants are just completely dominating the Vikings. And that last drive when they went up pretty much showed the Giants were just so superior over the Vikings that, they looked like Super Bowl contenders. The Giants did.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the law on the 4th down, Kirk Cousins, it's 4th and long. He throws short of the sticks, like way short of the sticks, like behind the sticks. And Minnesota loses the game. Again, just like with Jacksonville, credit to Brian Daboll and his staff for turning around the New York Giants. Daniel Jones.
You mean a coach Darrell Winfrey really wishes the Bears had hired as their head coach?
Yeah,
Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll.
But let's be honest with this whole fact. When the Buffalo Bills assistant GM went to go take the GM job for the Giants, that was kind of a package deal.
I get it, but we could have still made a pitch for the man, for him to make his own mind up and come to Chicago. So you can mold this young quarterback we got in Chicago that's 10 times better than Daniel Jones, in my opinion. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let it go either.
It is what it is. We just see
I'm still not going to let it go. I don't know. After watching this, just Eberflus and Getsy just grinds my gears.
Yeah, we gotta do our Bears season in review soon.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, and I'm not gonna be happy.
Look, credit to the Daboll and his staff.
Giants win the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be pissed. If they go to the Super Bowl, I'm going to be pissed. If they beat the Eagles, I'm going to be pissed. He should have been with Chicago.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm done. Go ahead. I'm done.
Okay. All right, we'll just end it off there. Minnesota Vikings. I don't know what the hell they do. You already got Justin Jefferson already saying in the airwaves, like, "Well, I'm gonna go where I'm wanted." So, I don't know what you mean by that comment.
How is he not wanted in Minnesota for him to say
I
that?
think they asked him a question: would he stay in Minnesota if they offered him an extension? And he just gave like a vague response like that. He was also shut down again in that game too.
Of course, because they followed that Green Bay protocol for pretty much covering him at all three levels. They basically played man on everybody else and triple team Jefferson.
Yep.
I mean, dude, if you ain't open, why should they throw the ball to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know in Minnesota. They're gonna be in sap calorie hell with all the big contracts that they got. I think their new GM, he's already talked about the fact that they might have to tear things down. Their defense isn't that really good. Their offense.
Whose defense is really good?
I said it isn't good.
Oh, I was about to say because they were like in the bottom 30 of the league.
Their offense is fine for the most part, but I still think Kirk Cousins holds them back as a quarterback. And again, another Clipper fan in my group chat. I was just saying, hey, even as a Bears fan, I have no confidence in the Vikings. Like
none.
With the fact that the NFC North.
The problem for me is when I like Stefanski's way of playing football. He used the run to set up the pass, whereas this year it was different. They used the pass and set up the run, and I get it. Dalvin Cook got hurt an awful lot, so you just couldn't give the ball to him 25, 30 times. I get that, but they never really had a solid backup for him so that they can offload those carries.
Madison was solid enough for them.
Yeah, but did he get the carry? Did they run the ball like they did with the two running backs, Pollard and Elliott in Dallas? No. And then on top of that, I love me some Thielen, but he ain't that guy anymore.
He wasn't. He isn't that good. He's older now.
He's not that guy anymore. So you got to find another wide receiver to offset what Justin Jefferson gives you. And then again, yes, the elephant in the room is always then there's Kirk Cousins. You can't win with him when they were running the ball 40, 50 times a game, and you can't win with them throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. So what's the problem? If you want to know what the problem is, you always ask yourself in every situation, there's a constant. What is the constant when it comes to winning and losing in Minnesota? It's Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. And with the fact that the NFC North could be in the turn up, you got the Lions that are pretty good. The Bears, based on what they do this offseason, could be a good team next year. Packers, that just
we're just talking about coming back.
I mean, I never take the Vikings seriously. They always say, "Oh, we're Super Bowl contenders." Okay.
Exactly.
Why don't you go out there and you go to the Super Bowl?
And you can't take them seriously as long as Cousins is their quarterback.
Yep.
You can't take them seriously. I mean, their plus minus as far as points is concerned was a -3, and they won 13 games?
Yeah.
Who does that in the NFL?
And most of these games they won with the skin of their teeth.
Correct. Throwing it to Jefferson, teams that couldn't cover them.
Yep.
But when the Vikings lost, you look in the box score, Justin Jefferson had a bad game. So, I mean, you got to find someone opposite Justin that they can go to.
Yeah. Do you want to make a new video before we talk about the last two playoff games? We got 30 minutes left. All right.
Yeah. I might get.
All right, so moving on with the last two playoff games, we have the Sunday night game of last week, which was the Ravens at the Bengals. It was a rematch of the last week in the NFL season, but the Bengals blew out the Ravens. Obviously, this game was a lot more closer because one, Tyler Huntley played, and obviously in a playoff matchup, it's a little bit different because in a way, it's kind of was like, I guess you can say like an NBA type of thing where it's like, oh yeah, game one last week of the season, and this was like game two. But this game was just kind of that gritty type of grind game, and it was only because this really bad fumble by the Ravens. And Hubbard, I forget, no, not Chuba, Sam Hubbard picked it up, took it 98 yards for a touchdown. That was practically the thing that sealed the game for the Bengals right then and there.
Yeah.
No, overall, I think we can say going into this week, the Bengals didn't have as impressive as a win, just like the Bills, but the Bills was, I would say, far lost type of, win there. But even then, the Bengals, you would think for a team that, you blew out a week ago. Now, again, weeks can change. And then obviously the quarterback performance of when you go from Troy Brown Jr. to Tyler Huntley, it's obviously a better upgrade at quarterback, but still, Baltimore had an opportunity to actually upset the Bengals, but like I said, that fumble killed them. They were literally on the goal line.
And he also had an opportunity to tie as well, too. So, I mean, you can actually take this a couple of ways. You can say that, the Bengals just were not prepared to face the Ravens in their current state. It's really difficult to get game film on a team who you don't know is going to be the quarterback. You don't know who's going to be the number one wide receivers. You really just don't know who's coming out to play. That's the way I took it. I mean, the Ravens have just been so ravaged with injury throughout the entire football season that it was really, for me, a hard tell to try to pick up on who are they going to play. So it does happen to hurt you in preparation. So that's the way I'm taking it, But yeah, the Bengals on their side, they got to look better too. I talked about the Bills, same thing goes to the Bengals. The Bengals got to look better. Now, they didn't look as bad as Buffalo did, but they were still bad all the same. So they got to be better. They got to be better, especially if they want to go back to the Super Bowl. And to go back to the Super Bowl, believe it or not, the Bengals are going to have to go to Buffalo and then go to Arrowhead.
Yep.
So they got to look better, but at the same time, 9 in a row. That's a really nice feat in the NFL. But they haven't done it in dominant fashion. So we'll see. But we both felt that Cincinnati was going to win this game anyway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really shocking that they won. It was shocking how they won. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Yeah. Baltimore, they got to make a big decision. Do they want to pay Lamar or let him walk?
Well, I'm going to say this. For me, Lamar burned the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're hurt. You are hurt. You still could have been on the sideline, which you could have been on the sideline with your teammates. And for that right there, that for me is the straw that breaks the camel's back. You don't have to play. You don't. Your teammates, your brothers, your brothers in arms will understand that. But the fact that you were not on the sidelines doing what was necessary to help Tyler Huntley get through and try to win a football game when he possibly had an opportunity to do so, yeah, to me that was unforgivable. Yeah. If I'm his teammate, I would have been like, that part right there it's a hard pill to swallow.
Well, J.K. Dobbins has his back.
Well, he did, yeah. But he wants Lamar to come back. Because he knows what's in that locker room after Lamar.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, the faith in John Harbaugh is
dwindling.
Is dwindling. As a matter of fact, it was dwindling early because I think it was what's his name, the cornerback, number 24. He called him out. Marcus Peters. He called him out early in the season. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that Baltimore locker room has not been easy to navigate, not been easy to manage.
Yeah.
With, losing in the fourth quarter and now losing quarterbacks, losing wide receivers. And now you're put in a position whereas you want this guy, I'm pretty sure they want him to come back.
But not at their price.
Yeah. Not at a fully guaranteed contract worth over $200 million. No, I'm pretty sure the Ravens ain't cool about that. Especially when you got the best quarterback in the league. His wasn't fully guaranteed at 200 million.
Yeah.
You know, I think his was like 190 that was guaranteed. But, you know, man.
That's going to be the Ravens' problem.
Yeah. So I think they're going to franchise him. If they do, that might not. I think they're going to franchise him.
Yeah. If they franchise him, I don't think he's going to be happy.
I don't think he's going to be happy either.
So.
But that's their road to hope.
Yep. And then the last game of Wildcard weekend, that was the Monday night game. And that was the Dallas Cowboys against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cowboys absolutely
beat the ever-loving out of the and you know I love me some Tom Brady. You know that.
Yeah.
But he looked like a 45-year-old man.
Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah. He looked like a 45-year-old man. That defense looked old. I mean, Tampa Bay just looked old.
It's pretty much the same thing we've been seeing from Tampa Bay all season long. They struggle to get their offense going, and then their defense will only keep them in the game for so long, and then eventually, because their offense isn't doing anything, their defense starts to wear out, and then they start just giving up huge chunk plays.
And they scapegoated Byron Leftwich.
Oh, yeah, they did that too.
They scapegoated Byron Leftwich to say, oh, Byron Leftwich is the problem. Okay, all right. Trust me, I don't think that's going to have Tom Brady come back for another year. I really don't, because he looked old and busted.
Yeah.
And now, granted, he threw for over 350 yards, but still,
that was in garbage time.
Yeah, I know. It was old and busted 350 yards. So,
yeah.
Although I can see him going to Miami for 1 year though. With them wide receivers.
Yeah. I put this out on Twitter. I just said, hey, so predictions on where Tom Brady could go. Some people said Miami, some people said Vegas, some people said San Francisco.
San Francisco, no.
I don't know. San Francisco right now, they're in a quarterback controversy right now between, I guess, Purdy and Lance. So
yeah, it's gonna be, yeah. I mean, and I'm still not sold on Purdy. I'm still not.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure I'll talk about that when we start with our predictions.
Yeah. I don't know what Brady is going to do. I would think, and this is me, and I even tweeted this too. I said, knowing Brady, he don't want to go out like this. He would not want to retire with a blemish, and a huge blemish, probably playing his worst game of his life, or one of the worst games of his life.
Yeah.
Knowing his ego, he wants to probably go somewhere else and at least go out gracefully. I think if maybe he entertains retirement if they still lose, but he loses in a competitive way, and he's good and everything. I just feel like he's trying to do what Peyton Manning did his final season: get by, get to a not World Series, get to a Super Bowl, win it all, and then cap it off. Is with me.
That's why the whole San Francisco thing is coming up, because for a quarterback of his age, he would need a strong defense, just like Peyton Manning had when he won that Super Bowl. He would need a strong defense to get behind. And San Francisco right now has said strong defense. They got two quarterbacks who are very young, and Lance and Purdy. But the point would be moot if San Francisco wins the Super Bowl this year. There's no point for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But, personally, I don't think there's no point for him now. But, there are some teams who'd be willing to probably, pay him for 1 year to potentially, put them in a position for a Super Bowl. And, just sounds like the teams that you just mentioned are a few of those.
Highest.
Yeah, probably.
So
probably.
Yeah. If Leftwich he left, he got fired.
Hold on, I'll say this. Let me say, I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I really can't see him coming back to the AFC.
Really?
Not with Allen.
That is true. That is true.
it's too many really good quarterbacks, young, really good quarterbacks in the AFC. I cannot see him coming to the AFC. So I would probably say, stay in the AFC.
Or NFC.
Yep, stay in the AFC, stay with Tampa. And get on, or better yet, chill out a little bit before you make your
the way he in his press conference he spoke like he's leaving Tampa. Just with the way he was talking.
I cannot fathom him coming to the AFC. It's just too many good quarterbacks.
I don't. What is another?
Who's in the NFC he could go to?
Maybe the Saints. They still have a solid defense. They got some solid weapons.
And they got cap room.
Yeah.
They got a running back. I mean, Michael Thomas.
They could cut Michael Thomas this year because he has like a cap hit of like 30, and he's always hurt.
Yeah, he's always hurt. So, but you're right. Could be the Saints.
I'm just
could be
thinking no team.
But I can't see him going to the AFC. If he goes to the AFC, for me, the AFC, Miami. I mean, the Raiders. I mean, he might because of Josh McDaniels, and they got that they got that relationship, that reputation, and they got that rapport with each other. I could see that, but that defense, not with that defense. At least Miami, he got a shot.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes this offseason. It's gonna be interesting to see if he just maybe calls it a career. I don't think he is. I think he's gonna play one more year.
I don't think he's gonna call it a career because I think you are right. I think he's too big of a competitor to go down like that.
Especially the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I think out of all teams, he would not want to lose to and end off his career. The Cowboys to say, "Oh, we retired Tom Brady." Jerry Jones would be in the freaking headline.
What they'll say right now is if he goes to the NFC, if he goes to Miami, oh yeah, we sent Tom Brady packing to the AFC. He couldn't handle the NFC because of the Cowboys.
Jerry Jones could say that. Jerry Jones would say that.
Yeah. Well, Cowboy fans would too, but they're delusional. So
yeah. Look, even though we don't like the Cowboys, props to the Cowboys. They showed up. Dak Prescott, he actually had a really good game. Well,
it's not that I don't like the Cowboys. The people that I know that are Cowboy fans, they just flat out annoy me.
I can understand that.
They just, it's ridiculous. I'm in a chat room, in a WhatsApp chat with a group of guys. We all coach together, and it's this one Cowboy fan, man. He is just freaking annoying. He actually Super Bowl every year, and he was just like, well, if you don't aspire for the Super Bowl, it'll never happen.
Well, you
take that comment and run with it. If you don't aspire to the Super Bowl, it'll never happen. I said, well, maybe y'all should probably try to adjust that thinking. Don't aspire to the Super Bowl, and maybe it'll happen.
Well, Deion Sanders went on the Manning cast on Monday night and said, well, Jerry Jones has the innate ability to have people who are Cowboy fans believe that they can actually go to the Super Bowl.
Of course, because he wants their money.
Look, there were guys wide open. They were running the ball.
Yeah.
Dallas just looked effective. Dak Prescott, he turned it around from his horrible performance against Washington.
Yeah.
So, get into the predictions. AFC matchups.
49ers. We already on the Cowboys. Let's start with the Cowboys and 49ers.
You want to start NFC?
Can the Cowboys go into San Francisco and beat the Niners?
Dak Prescott would have to have another really good.
He's going to have another game like that. My issue is I don't trust Purdy. I'm really not sold on Purdy. Kyle Shanahan is an amazing play caller, so he does certain things that allow Purdy to have options. But when those options go away, then what you get is an inexperienced rookie quarterback. Duh. So I'm going to say the Niners will win, but not because of Purdy. The Niners are going to win because that defense is going to jack Prescott up.
I think the Niners are going to win this game. I think the defense will do what it needs to do. But I also think the run game for the 49ers is definitely a lot better than what the Tampa Bay run game this year. That was another reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had Brady throwing 66 times on Monday night.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong now. The Cowboys offense is really good. It is. If they run the ball with Pollard and Elliott, the way that I feel and they use Pollard similar to the way that San Francisco uses McCaffrey, the Dallas can keep this game close provided they don't turn the ball over. And that defense is really good too. This defense is really good and can get to Purdy and can confuse Purdy. My only thing is, just to me, the better defense is going to win this game, which is the Niners.
Yeah. And you have to imagine that Dak Prescott is going to turn the ball over.
Correct.
Against this defense.
Correct. One thing that I do like about Purdy is he seems to be a little bit more well coached to not turn the football over. Whereas Prescott is going to press and try to do something. He's going to dip into that hero ball mentality, and he's going to screw something up, and it will cost him the game.
Yep.
49ers defense is going to win this game, not this 49ers offense.
Yeah. So, I'm going San Francisco. The next NFC game, that's going to be the Giants and the Eagles.
If Hurts plays,
Hurts is going to play. Why would he not play?
And okay, let me say this, Mr. Smarty Pants. If Hurts is 100% and they win.
Okay.
If Hurts is limited in any capacity whatsoever, and it shows because it's his throwing shoulder now. Am I correct?
No, it's his non-throwing shoulder.
I thought it was his throwing shoulder. The Bears hit him every which way but lose, man. It was so. But if he's not 100%, Giants can win this game. Giants look like a Super Bowl contender. Now, albeit it was against Minnesota.
Yeah.
And we have no confidence in Minnesota. I still believe I picked Minnesota. I think you just I'm gonna have to look at the video. I'm gonna have to look at the video. I don't believe that I went with Minnesota. I don't think I went with Minnesota. I think you pulling my leg, young boy, and you put Minnie in like.
No, you can go back and watch the video.
Minnie like Minnie. We're like, okay. Anyway, but Giants look really good.
Yeah.
Giants look really good, and it's going to be another road team. They're going on the road again, and it's going to be cold, but, they used to that anyway. So the elements shouldn't bother the Giants at all.
Yeah.
So, but I'll still go Philadelphia because Philadelphia does have a much better defense than what the Giants played against Minnesota. And I honestly think that defense will make Jones turn the ball over a couple times.
Really? I think Philadelphia's defense is pretty average by my books.
Still better than the Vikings. The Vikings were like 30th in the league.
Yeah.
Whereas at least Philadelphia's middle of the pack, I think 12th is the number that sticks out to me. But much better than the Vikings.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the upset.
And keep in mind, Philadelphia, completely healthy Philadelphia Eagles football team. They can arguably the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Yeah. I'm still going to go with the upset.
You going to go with the Giants?
I'm going to go with my gut.
What? My gut says the Giants too. But I'm going with my head.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. Now, these two teams played the last week of the season. Giants almost beat them with Davis Webb, and this was with Jalen Hurts starting that game.
That's true.
And I don't even think Saquon Barkley played that game. And no. Philadelphia's run defense ain't that bad. It ain't that good.
I think he was injured by that ankle injury he had. Yeah, but
no,
I remember that as well too. But just for me, if Philadelphia is 100% healthy from the rooter to the tutor, they're arguably the best football in the league, best football team.
Yeah.
I think if the Giants look great, I would love to see the Giants. I would love to see the Giants win. I really would. Just so I can stick to my claim that Brian Dabble should have been a head coach of the Chicago Bears. You thought I was going to forget that.
No, I want him to be the coach too.
I want just me.
Yeah.
I think it's because he coached at Alabama and won us helped us win a championship in 2017. That's what I think it was. The Bears didn't want no part of that. They didn't want no part of that.
Maybe you want to just stay in the New York area, Buffalo, New York, or just.
You making it sound like that's what Dabble wanted. I'm pretty sure if the Bears would have threw him a couple of X's zeros, he would have been like, you know what? I think I'm going to go take a look at this Justin Fields kid. I'm going to go ahead and develop this guy, just like I developed Josh Allen.
A lot of factors. You got a lot of factors playing to this thing.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe you didn't want to move far away from.
Maybe not. Maybe, but I mean, I agree with your assessment. And once there's once the assistant GM left, it was a package deal. I get it. So, but arguably, Philadelphia, when completely healthy, I mean, they're at least the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
Completely healthy.
Could be the case. I would still say maybe San Francisco's slightly better, but it depends.
I'm not so worried. It's just something about him. I mean, to me, it's all Shanahan.
Yeah.
Shanahan. It's all Shanahan. He's calling the right plays at the right time. He's putting that kid. He does what any good offensive guru does. He puts his quarterback in a position to succeed. Mm-hmm. And Purdy is taking full advantage of it.
Yep. All right. AFC predictions. Cincinnati Bengals at the Buffalo Bills. I don't want to go against them because I just want them to get the Super Bowl and win it. But I'm just gonna go with the Bengals here. I think the Bengals can go into Buffalo and beat these guys.
I agree with you.
If we're just looking at one of the first Bengals drives, they went down the field with ease and scored a touchdown.
Yeah. And then on top, I look at it this way. Josh Allen has not played very good football over his last two games. This game against Miami, I'm sorry. I mean, I understand that Miami is a divisional opponent, and divisional opponents are very hard no matter where they play. But you in the playoffs, dog, and you play like that, that's not good. That's not good for me.
Yeah.
That's not good for me. Burrow hasn't done any better. But I think the Bengals are going to go to Buffalo and beat them too.
Yeah.
So put me down for the Bengals.
Yep. And then Jacksonville at Kansas City. I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say by a touchdown. I think Jacksonville will shock them, but I think compared to the Chargers, the Chiefs, they're going to take, obviously, Jacksonville a lot more serious. And plus, they're at home in that environment. For a young team.
It's going to be a high of 2. A high of 2.
Yeah.
I didn't say 22. I didn't say 220. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a high of 2 for a Florida team going into Kansas City, Arrowhead. With them tailgaters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shout out to your cousin DJ. He going to the game from what he tells me. He don't live too far from. Man, he loves next to the Bears. Man, he loves the Chiefs.
He don't live.
Huh?
You gonna pay me enough money to go sit out there and watch a football game in -2 degrees?
Oh, come on now. You ain't never been in a football game when it's been cold. You're a Bears fan.
The only one time I went to a Bears game in cold weather was back when we went for the funeral for Uncle Reggie, and then went that Sunday game. It was only a brisky cold, but it was.
Oh, you mean Uncle Mark? Oh yeah, it was cold. It was cold.
Yeah,
and but see, that's just it, man. But playoff games when it's cold, those are the best games, dog. Those are the best games.
I'll sit at my warm home.
And I agree with you. I mean, you're a Cali kid now. You can't really, well, you've always been a Cali kid. I'm just saying, but back in the day, man, that 85, that year we went to the Super Bowl, man, shoot. We were downtown every day. Just cheering on the Bears, man. Didn't matter how cold it was, but yeah, your cousin is gonna go to the game. So but it's gonna be cold. That Florida team, I mean, I'd have to look at their schedule. I don't even think they went into an environment.
The Jets on that Thursday night, it was cold and rainy.
What was
not like 2 degrees, but it was still pretty chilly and rainy.
Yeah, it's cold. It's gonna be cold. But is that the game they won 19-3?
Yeah.
Oh shit. I'm sorry. That ain't Kansas City. Kansas City could put up 19. Kansas City could put up 19 in the first quarter.
Yep. Simple as this, Jacksonville just can't turn the ball. Trevor Lawrence can't have a bad game in the first half where he turns the ball over recklessly. I'm like that.
And I'm pretty sure Peterson will explain that to him. And Peterson's gonna make sure that they're ready.
Yeah.
And the problem is going to be, can Kansas City, shake off the rust of a 2-week wait? Whereas Jacksonville, their blood is already pumping.
Yeah. Hey, same could be said for Philadelphia.
That's true. That's true. Because keep in mind, Jalen Hurts with a hurt shoulder, some of the things to do with that shoulder, to get it going is to move it. A lot of exercise, a lot of rotations, get the blood circulating within that body part. So
and then too is I'm just saying, it's hard to beat the team 3 times, especially in the NFL. The Eagles already beat the Giants 2 times already.
Correct. And most times the best way you get your psyche over an injury is to take a hit.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I do like your pick of the Giants, though. It will not shock me if the Giants go in there and win, because most times in the playoffs, momentum is really important, and the Giants have that in spades.
Yep. Well, that's pretty much our divisional round predictions right then and there. We'll be back next week giving our divisional round predictions, and then our AFC and NFC championship predictions, and then move on. Then at some point we have to decide when we want to do our Bears season in review. Thank goodness this is actually taking place after the whole Kevin Warren stuff. I liked what I heard from him.
I did too.
So but eventually that thing will be in the makes. Some point near the All-Star break, we'll talk about NBA content, but we really won't get into NBA content until really the playoffs, because
I'd probably say we just go ahead and leave it alone. When the playoffs start, let's just do something. Also, I am serious. I would like to do something about agents. I think that
free agency for NFL.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I think that'd be pretty cool, because we got some pretty interesting free agents out there. Top of the list with Lamar Jack.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe every 2 weeks, see what's going on in free agency world.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that's fine. And then obviously there's the big one, the draft.
Yep.
So
yeah.
And usually that's our longest video.
Yeah.
Recapping the first round of the draft.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get over, guys. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's predictions, and then recap, as well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more Camp 15 Talk Sports content on the channel. Till then,
I'm still upset at Brian Dabble for not coming to Chicago. But
all right, we'll get out of here, guys.
All right.